Aloha, welcome to another web design tutorial. In this video, we're going to look at using fonts that are stored on a web server instead of locally on your own computer, and particularly demonstrating this with the Google Font Directory. But first, a note about the use case of why we would use a web font that's on another computer, maybe not on our own. In a previous video, I talked about how we were increasing, historically we've used style sheet declarations like the following. So I might say the paragraph has a font family and I want to use Times New Roman. And if that's not available, I'm going to use Georgia. And if that's not available, then I'll bring in the generic font family that I'm trying to use. So Times New Roman, Georgia, and then say serif. Okay, and that works and has worked quite well. There are times, though, where you want to be able to access the exact font, and it may not be available on the operating systems of the viewers, the visitors you're trying to get to your website. Or alternatively, or you might say that you have a newly designed web font, perhaps that you've created or that someone else has created, and you've purchased it, and there's no way of getting it installed on all of the computers available due to licensing restrictions or other issues. So what you can do is, instead of this, you can create a link to the server that has the code for that web font. And we'll illustrate how this is done. There's a project called the Google Font Directory. I'll open it up here, available at code.google.com/webfonts. And there's a guide and some things for doing this, but you can kind of illustrate. We have different fonts that have been contributed, and some of these look fairly similar to Arial or Times New Roman, but kind of with a slight stylistic flair. And you can kind of see there's some others that are a bit different. For example, we'll take this Reenie Beanie, and I can click on that, and we have an example of what this font looks like at different pixel sizes. And we can look at the different characters that are part of this font. Say, this fits the need for maybe I've got a small website and I'm trying to create kind of a conversational or diary type feel to the entries. And you can kind of read this. It's a fun font based on basic ballpoint pen handwriting. So we have kind of a cursive type font. We'll click Get the Code here, and we can embed the font into our page, and this is how we do that. There's a link element that you can select, and I go into the head of my web page and I simply paste that link reference. Okay. So it points to the Google server that's hosting this and identifies the ID of the font family and says this is a style sheet that we're going to be referring to. Then what I do is, this website provides an example. I can simply say H1 font family Reenie Beanie, and then if the server's down or it can't access Reenie Beanie, then use an Arial font. And then if I can't find an Arial font, I'll say use a sans serif font. Okay, so we do that. I save it, and then I'm going to open up this document, and we'll open up fonts, and you see the font is applied here, and just like it was illustrated on this website. Now this web font, this Reenie Beanie font, is not on my computer, but because I linked to this style sheet up here, then it can be included in my web page. So that's referring to a web font that's on the style sheet information is available on another server, and you can include those fonts on your web page. Hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, and happy coding.